This Real Agriculture podcast is brought to you by Genesis Fertilizers. Nitrogen fertilizer is your farm's #1 expense. Farmers are working together through Genesis Fertilizers to solve the problem of high prices and security of supply by planning a state-of-the-art nitrogen plant. Security and earnings through ownership is the solution. Visit Genesis today at genesisfertilizers.com to learn more.
Shaun Haney here with Real Agriculture and Real Ag Radio on Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM. Joined right now by Saskatchewan farmer Brett Halstead. He is on the board of Sask Wheat. Hey, Brett, how's it going?
Good, thanks, Shaun. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great. So this week we had the AGM for the organization, and typically when we chat, I say current chair or the chair, and you've moved into a new position. Talk about that.
Yeah, about 2 hours ago, our AGM finished up, and at the tail end of the AGM, I become the past chair, and our board elected a new chair, which is Jake Leguee from the Weyburn-area.
Yeah, cool. Well, I know Jake very, very well. I'm sure he will do a really good job. So as you reflect on your time as chair, I believe it was 4 years, Brett, what's something that kind of sticks out in your mind as something that the organization accomplished that you're kind of proud of?
4 years have gone by pretty quick, and it started with the pandemic, and things seemed to roll along pretty slowly at first there, but obviously, the business of wheat research and so on, we tried to keep that going. There was some delays with COVID, but, we tried to get through that the best we could, like just about everybody else. One of the things I'm really proud of this past year, we merged with the Saskatchewan Winter Cereals Development Commission, and that all become official on August 1st. So I think that's, one big step forward for our organization, but for growers of all cereals.
Why do you think that's an important step?
Well, they're a smaller organization, so they spend a lot of their money just keeping themselves alive and the day-to-day operations and so on. And then it makes it difficult to fund and put the money into, the future things that we need to do. So by working together and trying to keep those crops, which is mainly winter wheat, fall rye and winter cereals, going as healthy options for producers. They may not have a lot of acres in Saskatchewan right now, but maybe next year or a few years from now, there's going to be a bigger need for them for whatever environmental or just weather reasons. So I think it's really important because we're all the same farmers, and the more profitable options we have out there, the better.
So on that note, what do you think? Do you think that there's more consolidation in the future for farm groups, or is it really kind of too hard to tell?
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away from other AGMs, but I sat through the canola one here in Saskatchewan, and they're working on some things the same as we did with winter cereals with flax. So that's fairly public, but I don't know if there's any other discussions beyond that right now, but possibly in the future as, costs, I want to keep the costs from rising too much for administration and put them towards the important programs that we feel are important for all producers.
Well, all good AGMs come with some resolutions. What were the resolutions this year?
Yeah, we had one on HVK to examine the benefits of having HVK in the system. Some say there's little to no milling or baking property improvements with higher HVK. We also heard in the discussions that some come to Canada just to buy the dark red wheat, even though maybe a bleached wheat is just as good if it's got all the other properties that are still good. So that's on the agenda for both our organization, Grain Commission heard that, and it'll be on the discussion docket for their Western Standards Committee meeting this spring, and we'll try and do a little background work on that.
What was the other resolution?
The other one was a producer was interested in getting farmers to see more of the Vancouver port and understand how that works. So that hasn't come before our board either. These are just taken as advice. So that one would be to partner with other organizations and see if we can get some producers to go through the Vancouver port tours and understand how the workings of that goes a little better.
There's something to be said for, well, one, to see with your own eyes. I think there's always something valuable to be, boots on the ground, and because, pictures and sometimes don't do something justice. But, I think for the most part, farmers, we're impacted by all these different pieces down the value chain, especially when it comes to transportation, right? So farmer
Yeah,
spends all of his, the growing season working hard, produce the crop, get in the bin, deliver it to the elevator. But, and sometimes we think we understand the constraints and barriers and the operations of that elevator, and then bring the railways in, then we've got lots of opinions on what could improve the
yeah,
railway. And then you talk about the terminals, and that's a whole different bailiwick. I guess it's not about telling them what to do. I think farmers would benefit from just having a better understanding about what those, no different than we like when the railways try to better understand what farmers are dealing with. We should do the same
yeah,
the other way.
yeah. That's good point, and we're gonna take this under consideration and discuss it with some other organizations and see where it goes from there.
You also mentioned to me that you received some feedback. You're always asking for feedback from the people that attended the AGM. What was some of the feedback?
Yeah, they liked us working together with other organizations. Sask Crops has done a number of joint presentations or joint submissions in particular on environmental and sustainability issues with the feds. So they liked that. They also wanted to see if we could work towards more of a conference style and have a little more information other than AGMs. So a little history on that here in Saskatchewan is we've bounced around a little bit and changed kind of our formats and our locations. And we actually had a crop sphere event at one time.
Yeah.
Pretty sure you've been there before. Prairie Land wanted us at the show, so we went there for a while. Then they didn't have space for us at the show, so we went to the WDM, which is the Western Development Museum this year, and they're doing just a day of AGMs for various organizations. So I think the message there was they do like a little bit of other information, whether that's agronomic or marketing or things like that.
Drag them out. Or the draw card, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard to try to figure out what the right, how it should exactly look, and you're never going to make everybody happy, but it's good to get that feedback from the membership. Good turnout for the AGM?
And maybe doing some good different things is good too. Doesn't have to be the same thing all the time. Yeah, very good turnout. We had just under 100 producers and probably just over 100 observers from the ag industry.
Good stuff. Any mention of the Canada Grain Act review at all? Did that come up at all?
Just in relation to a former resolution we had on the export contract reporting or the export sales reporting, sorry. So that actually may be part of the discussion in the Grain Act review. So that was just my answer to the question on that resolution, because we've heard that it's getting closer, but we've heard that for several years too.
Yeah, it's the little bit of the never-ending story that maybe we'll find a conclusion eventually. It's taken so long that probably could at some point someone's going to say we should just start all over because these submissions are all old. Well, hey, Brett, I'll let you get back at it and get back on the road. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Really do appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean. Good luck.